Computers are often used to search through large sets of data to find useful patterns in the data. Which of the following tasks is not an example where searching for patterns is needed to produce useful information? So we need to find out which one of these is not an example of finding patterns in large data sets to produce useful information. So A says a credit card company analyzing credit card purchases to identify potential fraudulent charges. So this is a large data set going through credit card purchases of its customers and finding useful patterns, i.e., finding uh, potential fraudulent charges based on previous card purchases. So this is a useful pattern and a large data set. So this is an example of what we're looking for, but the question asks us to find an example that is not. So A is not correct. B says a grocery store analyzing customers' past purchases to suggest new products to the customer may be interested in. So this is a large data set looking at previous customers' past purchases, and this is useful patterns to find because suggesting new products to the customer increases the grocery store's revenue because the customer, based on their past purchases, may be interested in this product. So B is correct or incorrect in this case, since we're looking for an example that is not. C says a high school analyzing student grades to identify the students with the top 10 highest grade point averages. So in this case, a high school doesn't have many students. In this case, using high school student grades isn't a very large database compared to these other ones we've seen. And identifying the top 10 highest grade point averages, although isn't necessarily a pattern, it's just a way to sort grades. This isn't some kind of pattern, this repeating observable thing that we see in data. And this data set isn't very large. So this is likely not an example where we're searching for patterns in large data sets to produce useful information. Because it's not really a pattern and it's not a very large data set. So C is probably the answer since it's not an example, but let's make sure D is incorrect as well. So D says an online retailer analyzing customers' viewing habits to suggest other products based on the purchasing history of other customers. So this definitely is a pattern looking at the purchasing history and the viewing habits. This is uh, repeated things that you can find in the data. And this is a very large uh, database since viewing habits and purchasing history can become an extremely large database for an online retailer with a lot of customers. So D is an example of searching for patterns in large data sets to produce useful information. So that means C was the correct answer. This is not a very large database and not necessarily a pattern, more in sorting by the magnitude of the numbers. C is the correct answer.